Drake London was only one of 10 players last year that crossed the 72% threshold versus man and then 81% threshold versus zone.
This potential has been there for Drake London all year, and really basically since he got to the NFL. You see him win on out-breaking routes, on in-breaking routes, intermediate routes, vertical routes.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Let's start with Drake London here. Just an absolute explosion game, Matt Harmon. We're talking 11 targets, 10 receptions, 172. We're talking about career highs in both receptions and yards and catch percentage as well, catching over 90%. Of the balls thrown his way. What did you see here from Drake London?
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was only the second 100-yard game of Drake London's career.
Third,
yeah, because he did it once you're right. I'm looking back at it now. He did it once as a rookie, the final week of the season, 120 yards.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, only the third 100-yard game of Drake London's career, which is, I mean, that stings. Shouldn't be that way. He's such a good player, man. I mean, that's kind of where I want to start with this. Is like what I saw from that game on Sunday. Yeah, it's just like it's a guy that can do everything at the position, everything that you want. You see him win on out-breaking routes, on in-breaking routes, intermediate routes, vertical routes. Obviously, he can win in tight coverage, man. He was real close to a touchdown on one of those catches. I mean, he was just making impressive grabs in big moments. You know, obviously the Falcons don't come away with a win, so I'm sure Arthur Smith will go right back to, you know, pounding the hell out of the rock, especially against the Panthers next week. I mean, my God, they'll run the ball 30 times in that game. Right. No question about that. But look, yeah, obviously it stings for the Falcons, but this potential has been there for Drake London all year, and really basically since he got to the NFL. I think he will go down as one of these players that, you know, by the end of the year, we'll look back at his stats. It's like, did he really even take a step from his rookie year? You know, because like he's probably pacing for about the same season. But man,
you're talking from a narrative standpoint. Because
from a narrative standpoint, from a narrative standpoint, that will be the narrative around Drake London is, did he really take a step? Like, it's like, but these guys are all products of their situation, you know, and obviously Drake London's situation is kind of the worst possible one, where you not only have a coach who, look, I think Arthur Smith designs a good offense, but he does not get the ball to his best players. But at the same time, you also have bad quarterback play. Like, I mean, Desmond Ridder, even in this game, he throws one brutal interception, which maybe wasn't blocked up perfectly by the Falcons, whatever. But then the real egregious one was, I mean, Bijan Robinson could have like moonwalked into the end zone on a touchdown on a play right there on the flat, and he just completely misses him, and Bijan falls over the whole thing. So you got a real bad mix of circumstances here for Drake London, but this guy is definitely a baller. I mean, and like situations correct themselves at some point. I mean, we've been talking about Michael Pittman on the show a ton. Like, he's a great example of a guy that, man, like his third season, did he just kind of taper out there in Indy, but then he's getting fully maximized. Like, he's going to be a wide receiver one this year in fantasy football. And like, I mean, he's the same player he's always been. Nothing like there's nothing about Michael Pittman this year that's just like, oh, yep, he's really graduated. No, like, he's been this guy since his second season. He was the same guy in the third season, and he's the same guy right now. And same with Drake London. Like, he was really good as a rookie. He's been really good this year. It's just been a very weird and wonky situation. And, you know, situations change. I think Drake London's having a great season and is a great pro already at the position.
So we're talking about a guy in Drake London who last year, when you talk about success rate versus man and then combine that with success rate versus zone, 72.3% success rate versus man, 81.6% success rate versus zone. Now, again, if you're an RP convert, like, you know, you love RP and you know all about the reception perception, you know that when you cross that 72% threshold on man and 81% threshold on zone, you're doing pretty good in both categories, right? But how rare is that actually, right? So Drake London was only one of 10 players last year that crossed the 72% threshold versus man and then 81% threshold versus zone. So again, we're talking about a rare blend of a player that, again, you talk about size, you talk about speed, talk about the catch point, all these different types of things. but his success rate versus man and zone really indicate that, again, this guy's knocking on the door of being a top, 10, 12 receiver in the league.